ideas. You must be running for mayor.
Okay, great. Oh, and I've got a different view here. Excellent.
I see, Mr. Harvey, you have a new runner for running for mayor election announced this morning.
Yeah, I was surprised, but not so surprised.
We are live streamed, ladies and gentlemen, just FYI right now. So
Gibson Center bell tolling in the background, so you might hear it. I don't know. So it'll be on the hour.
Wonderful. So Cheryl, we do have quorum at this moment. Yes, terrific. And so I am not going to call the meeting to order just yet because our agenda suggests that we have a couple of things we want to talk about in advance of that regarding events. We've had a request from a member of the board to have a more fulsome conversation about events so that we as members of our respective councils can take those events back to our respective communities and talk about them. And I personally was very, very happy to take part yesterday, and my hat is like so off, like it's in the next community to our staff, including, Sarah and Olivia and, I've forgotten the name of the other person who was helping with 70 children from Admiral Collingwood School here in Collingwood. And they were in grades 1 and 5 and 6. And together, those 70 kids planted 200, I think, trees yesterday. And they got instruction on how to do it, and the little tubes that go over the trees or beside the trees, around the trees, and the little mats and everything. And they all got shovels. And it was just such a beautifully well done, handled event. And it's one of the volunteer spring plants. And so I wonder if I might be able to ask Director Hibbard, if he's here, to just speak for or Byron, Director Wesson, to talk about it just for a moment about the importance of these spring plants and where they're taking place. Because I know 600 trees got put in Wasaga Beach last week, and then these 200 yesterday. And I think we're coming to the end of tree planting season. But this is some information that we can all take back to our respective communities. If you could speak to it just for a moment, Director Wesson.
Thank you, Chair McLeod. Yes, absolutely. Great segue. Tree planting officially came to an end yesterday in both our community plants and our tree planting program. The one that you referred to, our community plants, we saw a total of 19 plants take place right across the watershed. Our stewardship team facilitated students, service clubs, community members at large, and they were able to put almost 8,000 trees in the ground. So very, very successful year. Very, very successful year. Yes, I knew that you were there, and I was going to ask you to say a couple of words. You've done that, but I also know that Member Boxam was there in one of our plants in Mulmer, and George Watson, of course, played a big role as well. So if anybody wanted to say something about the number of trees they planted, the blisters they got in their hands, anything like that, we'd love to hear it.
Member Boxam, would you like to comment on the planting that you took part in?
Sure. Ours was beside the Pine River, and I really had no idea in advance how many people were going to come out. I think it was over 30, and it was just great to see everybody, whole families, little wee ones too, that could hardly pick up a shovel. So to me, it's a great community engagement thing, as well as doing the right thing for the environment. So I did ask for a list of successive events in Mulmer, and I have received that. So I'm really looking forward to getting out there and meeting more people. And it was a good time was had by all. Started raining just as we finished. Perfect.
Thank you, Member Boxam. And I think at this point, after 2 years of COVID, most of us would attend the opening of an envelope just so that we can see other people. It's we're so desperate for company. And I wonder as well if we could talk a little bit about the events that are taking place at Tiffin, so that we can also take that back to our respective communities if we want to send grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and that sort of thing. Is there someone? My screen is somewhat limited today, so if a staff member has their hand up, I can't necessarily see it. Is that you again, Director Weston?
That is me. Thank you, Chair. Yes, absolutely. I can touch on this one as well. So Camp Tiffin is going to start the end of June. We are now at about, as of yesterday, we're at 85% capacity. So it's really starting to fill up. And we've also, you're probably familiar with our new Canadian camp, where we, Rotary Club of Barrie sponsors about 10 to 15 students, children that are coming from various parts of the world, and they settle within our watershed. This year, we've got a focus of Ukrainian children. And so that's what will be happening in August at Tiffin. So yeah, we're back to a roaring start here with our education program. Absolutely. It's good to see.
Member Jeb.
Thank you, Chair. Question through to Director Wesson. So you said 85% full for the camp, April 5th to the 23rd. And what about the PA day, the June 23rd? Is that the 85%?
No, sorry, through the chair. The 85% is for our summer camp in July and August. The PA camp, there's still room there.
Okay, because I will talk about that at council on Monday night. And then if you can give us a reminder about the new arrival, new citizens camp in August.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Super. Any other questions from members regarding these events that were listed in our agenda today, and so that we can speak about them confidently? Okay, seeing none, I am going to call this meeting to order. We have regrets today from members Bonato and Nielsen. And we have, I see Member Kane is here. She warned us she might be late, but she's here. And Member Watson has also warned us that he might be a titch late, and I don't see him. So that's where we're at right now regarding attendance. And I will turn over, it's 9:07. I'm calling the meeting to order. And I will ask Member Jeb this morning to read our land acknowledgement, please.
Thank you, Chair. The Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority Board acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, Salty, Anishinaabe, Mississauga, and Algonquin, who spoke several languages, including the Anishinaabe and Potawatomi. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll ask for declarations of pecuniary interest. Are there any declarations there too this morning regarding items on the agenda? I see none. If you find yourself in that position, of course, please shout it out at the time. I'll need a motion to adopt the agenda, and that is moved by Deputy Mayor Michael Smith and seconded by Councillor Shirley Boxham. And the resolution is that the agenda for the Board of Directors meeting number 5 of 2022, dated May 27th, 2022, be approved. And if you could be so kind as to do that vote through your on board. And if I see anyone on screen, Mayor Pinto is a yes. I am a yes. Mayor Allen is a yes. Margaret Mercer, Member Mercer is a yes, and Member Sandhu and Member Nickel are all yeses on that. Director Flanagan. So that can...
Through the chair, with the combination of the two, that my motion is carried.
Thank you so much. And so then we move on to announcements. Are there announcements at this time from any members that need to be said? I'm still scrolling across. I see none. And thank you. And now we have a presentation. Sorry. Member Mercer.
I had my hand up. Thank you.
Sorry.
I wanted to mention that in Melancthon, we have an environmental sustainability day, which will be a week from tomorrow. It's brief. It's from 9 to 12, and it is on the Zoom platform. This year, we're going to have at 9 a.m. Janice Gilbert. She is an expert on Phragmites, and she's the director of the Phragmites Center. We're also going to be having our resident bat expert speaking for half an hour. We have Rick Grillmeyer from the NVCA talking about trees. We will have a session on bees. Again, thanks to Doug for providing the reference for that. And so a short, interesting variety of sessions. We also have Sarah Wicks from Dufferin, who will talk about the climate action plan. If you have a chance, please come on. It's a free event. If it rains, it's a great way to spend the morning. I've just very current topics. And I wanted to thank the NVCA for their participation and helping us with that. Thank you.
Thank you, member. Any other announcements from the floor? Please shout if I can't see you. Okay, thank you. And so now we have a presentation, and I think I'm going to hand it over to Fred Dobbs at this point. We have a movie in Collingwood. We've already seen it. I beat you to it. But it's 9 minutes and 27 seconds, I think. And Fred, are you here to introduce it, are you?
I am.
Wonderful. Yeah, Manager Dobbs, over to you.
Yeah. Good morning, Chair McLeod, members of the board, and NVCA staff. I'm very pleased to be able to introduce the new video to you today, even though Collingwood's already seen it, about the economic and social values of our recreational sport fisheries, the importance of healthy rivers, and how the NVCA is investing in these important money-making resources through our river restoration programs. I grew up in flat farmland north of London, where basically you could see flat clay soils and corn tassels waving in about 360 degrees of compass direction. So I continue to be amazed after moving up here at the incredible natural resources we have, whether it's Niagara Escarpment, Minising Wetlands, Oro Moraine, Georgian Bay, etc. So I think it's a real privilege to be part of a team that includes both board members and staff that's charged with the management of this incredible watershed that we live in and participate in. The new video clearly shows the value of a conservation authority or a watershed-based approach, as you see how the appropriate management of healthy rivers in Mulmer or Agilatosaurantio or Mono contributes to big economic payoffs from recreational sport fisheries that may be in Collingwood, Wasaga Beach, Essa Township, Clearview, Springwater, etc. Finally, before we start the video, I want to do a big shout out to Maria Leung, our communications coordinator, for obtaining the grant that was necessary to make this project a reality, and also for dragging me kicking and screaming into making sure that this happened. Doing a video in the middle of our busy field season is challenging, but I think thanks to Maria, it really paid off. And I'd also like to do a shout out to Chair McLeod for her role and the time that she took to participate and make this a strong video. So without any more ado, let's check it out.
Nice, good. Yeah, that's a nice one. On the middle portion of the Nottawasaga River, and we're enjoying some rainbow trout fishing, or also called steelheading by some, where you're chasing large, bright, silvery rainbow trout that have moved in from Georgian Bay to start their upriver spawning migration.
My name is Jesse Wright. I'm a seasonal fishing guide on the Nottawasaga River. Been a fishing guide for 18 years. This is such a unique fishery because you can fish it all year round. And due to the catch and release zone, it's open for fishing, and in places that other places are closed, people will still be accessing this fishery and using it 12 months a year.
A little bit more, one more, got him. This is the day we have our Georgian Triangle Anglers Association Salmon Slam. You could be looking at anywhere from 50 to 100 people out fishing.
probably millions of dollars in boats here today for this tournament, and you know, tens of thousands of dollars being spent just today. So it's huge economic impact to the local area.
It's millions of dollars every year that comes into this harbor with people on boats. We have launch fees to take the boats out. They rent hotel rooms, they purchase stuff, plus their lures. Fishing is one of those very interesting activities that you always need more gear. You need the flies if you're a fly fisher, you need your waders, you need your boat, all of those things. There's always that little thing that you have to get, plus like lunch and things to do afterwards. So there's all these ancillary expenditures that take place from this very fun activity that a lot of people want to take part in.
My name is Gary Christie. I'm the director of the Nottawasaga Steelheaders. We're an organization of anglers and conservation-minded people that do a lot of good things for the watershed, which is important for the summer salmon, the slam that you see here. 30 to 40% of the salmon that are caught in Lake Huron and Georgian Bay come from the Nottawasaga River.
At this point, we're looking at a section of the Nottawasaga River in the Niagara Escarpment that's already functioning very, very close to its historical pre-development potential. Water quality is excellent. Phosphorus levels are moderate. Oxygen levels are very high. So high oxygen levels that are required by brook trout, brown trout, rainbow trout, and also young Chinook salmon. Oxygen is available in abundance to support the young fish of these different species. We also have an abundance of gravelly and rocky habitat that provides excellent spawning habitat for cold water trout and salmon as well. And this is the type of water quality situation and high quality habitat that we're trying to extend and recreate further downstream. And of course, on this site, we have a lot of cedar trees, and even the old cedar logs for the dead trees are in the water, where they provide terrific attachment points for aquatic insects. So having a stream that has live trees for shade and has old growth logs and woody material in the stream for habitat is a really key combination. The upper Nottawasaga and one of its other branches, the Pine River, are the really key big drivers for young salmon that support sport fisheries throughout the southern Georgian Bay region.
So when you have a recreational activity that provides millions of dollars for your economy, the most important thing one can do is to keep the thing upon which that is balanced safe and healthy. So those hatchlings in Agila and Mono and Tosserantio townships and Mulmer even, and all the way down the entire 150 kilometers of Nottawasaga River, all those things have to be in place in order for that great day to happen. And so it's really important that the river be healthy, not just because healthy rivers are good, but also because healthy rivers provide money and provide economic activity in places like Collingwood, 150 kilometers away from where this little baby fish came from.
One of the key things we're looking at for river restoration is fixing bank erosion, essentially. This site we're looking at right now provides an excellent example of what happens when the vegetation is pretty impacted. And as you can see, the roots that these grasses throw down only extend several inches into the soil. So this whole area from here to here is basically just loose dirt that's very easily eroded by the speed of the moving water. So as soon as this goes into the water, you can see that there's dirt and sediment recruiting in the water, and this dirt contains a lot of phosphorus that's full of nutrients, so it provides algae growth. The dirt can go into like clean gravel and plug up the pores and make this sort of rocky material less suitable as spawning habitat for trout and salmon.
This is a site where we've actually had the opportunity to do a channel realignment. So we've chosen a new path for the river to go. And this meant we could rebuild this section behind me kind of from scratch. Riffles are also really important fish habitat. Behind me, there's some spawning salmon. And the salmon choose to lay their eggs here because the rocks are the right size for them to nestle their eggs right in between, and the cool, clean, oxygenated water can really roll over the eggs in those nests.
So what we've done with our restoration efforts is we've changed the elevation of the bank. We've graded it with a large earth moving machine or excavator in a way that we can create low roots and introduce new vegetation where the roots extend right down below the river to lock up the soils and protect it.
So the Ontario Trillium Foundation helped fund this project. So the funds that we receive help the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority solicit matching funds through other sources such as TACLA, such as, Cabela's Bass Pro Shop. Having partnerships works.
So the farmer, Kent Breeden, has very progressively worked with us, and he's been able to obtain grants from the Conservation Authority and other sources for a very large farm fence installation project. So in the background, you can see where about 900 meters of fence have been installed on both sides of the river. It's called page wire fence that's designed to exclude the livestock from the watercourse itself and keep them within their pasture block. At this site, the bank has been flattened out and terraced, and the large 20-ton excavator we use has brought in natural sod and grasses and replaced them on the stream to create a stable bench environment.
It hasn't really been an inconvenience to me to do this. You know, it's improved fish habitat. It's better for the cattle. They're not in the river. You know, it's going to cool the river down. It's a win all the way around for everything. I think it's, I don't see why anybody wouldn't do it. You know, it's just a great project.
You know what? It's really important that people get out, volunteer, help plant trees, help educate people about the importance of our environment.
So it's very important to understand the significance of the restoration program we're doing. That's the chief one right now. It's very critical to this fishery. So without programs like the Nottawasaga River Restoration Program, you know, God knows what we're going to see in the future.
Our goal is to restore 10 kilometers of the Nottawasaga River. You can help by donating towards the costs of equipment, materials, and staffing, or by volunteering to work with us on our volunteer workday. Let's do this together so that our children and grandchildren can experience this amazing sport fishery.
So great. Thank you very much. And all of your microphones, all of your cameras were turned off because it was a little bit choppy at my end for sure. And I think it's because we're getting it from the internet and then we're feeding it through the internet and then watching it on the internet. So if you were to watch that if you go to it through the website or if you go to it through YouTube, it is much more smooth and beautiful than you may have just noticed. So Manager Dobbs, anything else to say about that? It's so impressive and fun.
Well, I think it speaks for itself, and I just didn't know if there were any questions from the board members.
Sure. Any questions from the board members regarding the project? Member Matrosofts, I see you.
Thank you, through you, the chair. Fantastic. And so my question is are there opportunities to seek that funding or to expand on another chapter, another type of activity and tying it into the environmental restoration?
Manager Dobbs?
Yeah, I think without talking with Maria about the continuity of the grant that she was able to access, I think in principle, it's something that we would be very interested in doing. Like, for example, even with river restoration, a lot of the work that we're doing with federal funding is targeting native species and species at risk. But because of the recreational slant on this particular grant, we focused on introduced species that are like rainbow trout that are currently supporting large economically viable fisheries. So there's all kinds of different spins that we could look at if we could get the grant again. Great idea.
Director Flanagan, I see you, Member Sandu. Some of the members are having difficulty reestablishing their cameras. So I'm not sure if you've hit something that means they can never come back or what's going on. So please fix that if you can, please.
We're having a party. We're having a party here in the dark, all of us.
Member Sandu.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to say thanks to the staff for that video. Would that be loaded on the website if we wanted to watch it later, or can the link be emailed, please?
Manager Dobbs, I think, or perhaps Director Flanagan can respond to that.
And through the chair, yes, I'm actually drafting the email right now to send to you.
Marvelous. So all of us will have to do it. There we go. Member Mercer.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also wondering about the distribution and availability possibilities of that from a little kind of tourism marketing standpoint. What are the thoughts around making it available through various channels?
Manager Dobbs, or do we need to go? Oh, there we go. Fred.
Yeah, I think staff are still working on, we have done some circulations back to those partners who are directly involved in the video, and we're working with Maria right now, our communications coordinator, on a larger circulation plan for the video.
Member Jebb.
Thank you, Chair. I actually saw the video at the Nottawasaga Futures Economic Development annual meeting. Sylvia was there, and she was showing everyone the video. So it certainly is a good idea to maybe share it with our economic development partners.
Any other, Director Flanagan, I've had a note from, I see Member Pinto is available. Member Nickel was having trouble getting his camera back on. I don't know that if he's, oh, there he is. Okay. Any other questions for, CAO Hebner?
Through the chair, if I may, we've been approaching BIAs across the watershed with this as well. We're also looking at the Ontario tourism situation. They have a tremendous amount of work on restoration and features, but if we could get into their marketing stream where it goes cross-wide across Ontario, that's something we're looking at. So Maria is continuing to investigate as many possibilities for this video as we can come up with.
Wonderful. I think it's unanimous that we all think it's wonderful. Manager Dodson needs to be widely shared. Fred.
Just a quick point. I saw Mayor Pinto pop up on the screen. The bulk of the work that's been completed on large-scale river restoration over about the last 4 years has been done in Agilatas Rancho. So huge investment in that municipality. And we're now sort of taking that successful pilot project and ramping up new initiatives in Mulmer and Clearview, looking at the Pine River and Mad River with new strategic plans.
There we go. Okay. Thank you very much. It's awesome. Our kudos to Ms. Lung as well for that. I think we're moving on to moving on through the agenda. If there's anyone else who wants to speak who I haven't seen, please shout because my screen is different today than usual, so I can't see all of you at once. Okay. Deputations, which is number 8 on our agenda. I see none. Hearings is number 9 on the agenda. We have none of those either. And that brings us to item number 10, which is items, determination of items requiring separate discussion. And we have the adoption of the consent list and identifications of items requiring separate discussion. So we have had 3 items, as far as I understand it, pulled. Item 12.2, which is the staff report regarding parking. Item 12.2.1 is the staff report regarding parking. 12.2.2, which is the staff report from CIO Hebner regarding the latest when it comes to the transition plan and the regulations. This is phase 2 regulations. And also 12.2.5, which is the staff report from the manager of watershed science and our senior ecologist as well. Those 3 have been pulled. Are there any other items that need to be pulled at this time? Please shout if you need anything else pulled. I see no one. Okay, great. And so I'll ask you to go to your onboard package and vote on receiving the items that have been not pulled. Oh, Member Mercer. Oh, she's a yes. Thank you. And there we go. Am I seeing any other yeses on the screen? Oh, Mayor Allen. Sorry. Yes, Mayor Allen. Sorry.
You did say 12.2.5, did you?
Yeah,
As one?
I did indeed. Yes, I did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go. And a yes from Member Mangtalo, and yes from Mayor Allen, and a yes from Mayor Pinto for your edification, Director Flanagan, and a yes from Member Watson.
Through the chair, that motion has carried.
Marvelous. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to item number 12.2.1. And this is the staff report from the Manager of Lands and Operations. And I don't know that we actually need Kira to speak to it. I'm the one who pulled this. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that Hotspot is going to be the new provider of the parking at our conservation authority, conservation areas. And I actually think that, is it CAO Hebner who would like to speak to this? Because I think we're doing something special for a month while we transition from one parking provider to another. Can I get you to speak to this, CAO Hebner? There we go.
Through the chair, if I could, I'm going to ask Byron if he could do that. I think he's excited to share that news with you.
Super. Thank you so much. Director Wesson.
Thank you. Through the chair, I was going to have Kyra talk about this, but I can certainly
Kyra's
do
fine
it.
Too. We
No,
like
no,
her too.
That's good. So we've got a bit of a lapse between one company and another. We've hustled as hard as we could, and we've only going to realize 1 week where we won't realize any revenues coming in. So what we'd like to do is take advantage of Customer Appreciation Week and offer free parking at our areas while we transition from one company to another. So that will be the first week of June, I believe. Kyra, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And other than that, it's been smooth sailing. Kyra has done a wonderful job of pulling this off. And it was kind of a startle to us to have this company just bail on us that we've been with since 2015. However, we've contacted Town of Collingwood, City of Barrie, and they all highly endorsed Hotspot, and we thought we better go with it. So that's where we're at. So yes.
Thank you. Anything to add, Ms. House?
Through the chair, thank you, Marianne. It was a little bit of a startle to have to switch providers so quickly. We didn't have a lot of lead time, but actually staff at Collingwood were fabulous to deal with. They gave a referral to Hotspot, so that was really appreciated to have their candid perspective, as well as the staff from City of Barrie. They were really great to work with. So we're really happy with the transition. And I think the services that will be provided to our clients will be an even higher level of service that we were providing before. So that's always a good thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Jeb, you had your card up.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question, will we be advertising Customer Service Appreciation Week and just to kind of promote for people to come?
Director Wesson?
Absolutely, through the chair. Kyra and I are reviewing the draft press release this morning. So yes, it'll be going out.
Wonderful. And that will be sent to all. I see another question regarding that, and I believe that'll be sent to all members of the Board of Directors. And if not, please send it to all the members of the Board of Directors. Yes, Member Mercer.
Thank you. So Hotspot is new in Collingwood as well, because I have to say, as a user, I did find the system that I have used there in the past a little bit challenging at times. And I'm just wondering, that's not the system the NVCA is taking? This is a new system, is that correct? You have to put in your license, and it can be, like you almost need to have attended college just to figure out how to use this system. So can you just clarify if this is a new system and maybe how it works? Somebody, please.
Who would like to take that? Kyra?
Sure.
Or Director Wesson? Either one of you is good.
Go ahead, Kyra.
Okay, thanks.
You attended college.
Just for that.
You can tell how closely Byron and I work on all these files, because we're right up there shoulder to shoulder. So this one, the hotspot parking payment service, it is actually very user friendly. So if you're just a day user, you're able to scan a QR code with your phone, and you don't even have to download anything. It'll bring you right to the platform so you can pay for your parking. If you're going to be a return visitor, then you do need to set up a user system. So unfortunately, you'll have another password to try to remember. But this one does allow one-time users to just use the QR code, and then that'll bring you directly to the payment. So I'd be interested in hearing your challenges, and we've got great lines of communications with the service provider. So any feedback like that, I'm sure they would appreciate.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Okay,
and if I may add in, for sure, I have, what one does is, I don't know if you can see this on my phone, but this is the app right here. That's the icon for the app. And it's pretty user-friendly once you get it going. But they do want you to, I have $6 left on my account. It is pretty user-friendly. And what happens is you put in the number of there'll be a number that you put in at each, I'm assuming, each Conservation Authority parking lot. And 4 digits, I'm assuming, is what we have in Collingwood. So if you're parking on the main street, it's 1111. If you're on a side street, it's 4444 or whatever. And you can park for 15 minutes or half an hour. And if you don't stay the whole time, you can get your money back, which is amazing. And I have that once you get it set up, and there have been a few complaints in Collingwood about having to, take a photo of your driver's license in order to confirm your identity. But there are other ways to do it. And I know that our staff at the CA will definitely be trained on that. And I'm certain that the very friendly people at the front desk at Town of Collingwood would be helpful in that department as well, navigating some of that stuff. Member Mercer.
So can I just ask how Hotspot makes money? Do they sell the system, or do they make money on each transaction? Does anyone know the answer to that?
Director Wesson or Kyra?
Go ahead, Kyra.
Sure, I can take that one. So through the chair, there's a couple of different fee schedule or payment strategies that you can decide to go with Hotspot. And for us, we've decided to go with a revenue share model. So it's based on a percentage of the revenues from each of the transactions.
Interesting. I just asked because I know in the GTA, they have different systems. You just put your card in, it's very easy. And I thought they got all the revenue on that, but I'm not sure.
I see you, Member Allen and Member Jebb and Member Boxham.
Thank you, Chair McLeod. I'm sure they figured this out, but I was up in North Simcoe with a meeting with the mayors, and they were talking about being frustrated with a parking system that had just been instituted. The key on this is communication and easy instructions. So when 4 people are coming up to a little machine and reading print that's way too small and getting frustrated and impatient waiting. So one of the secrets to the success of this is to have multiple big understandable signs that people can read before they get to the machine, so they have half a chance of knowing how to work these things. So just a suggestion if they haven't already figured that out.
Thank you. Member Jebb.
That was one of my comments, is the accessibility for ease of reading. But also, what if a person doesn't have a smartphone and doesn't use the QR skewing thingies? How does that work then?
Who would like to take that? Director Wesson or Kyra?
I'm going to let Kyra's report. I'll let her carry on.
Super.
Thank you. So through the chair, with Hotspot, you actually have the ability, you can do it from home before you leave. So if you don't have a cell phone with you, you can register and prepay essentially for your parking in anticipation of your visit. And we still accept payment through our front desk as well. So you can call into the NVCA front desk and we can accept payment that way. So there's different options available.
Thank you. And Member Boxham.
Thank you. I noticed when I was reading that particular report that there's an opportunity to donate when you pay for parking. I wasn't aware that that was an option. So question one, was that an option with the previous provider? And number two, is that something we may want to think about in terms of signage, is letting people know that the NVCA does rely on donations and that there is an opportunity there. So I know we've heard a couple of comments about signage, and signage is expensive to just put up on the spot. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that might be an opportunity.
Director Weston or Kyra, is there is that something we're taking into consideration? I'm sure we are.
Yep, absolutely. So through the chair, I appreciate the questions. This is really great, actually. It's great to have this dialogue. There was not the opportunity to do donations through our previous payment system. And this one, so as Chair McLeod had mentioned, you can obtain a refund for your unused minutes. Given the opportunity, she could also donate that to well, whatever charity she would choose to. So that is embedded within the program and it comes up as an option. You can also do an add-on. So like you see at the grocery stores where they have a little notification, would you also like to donate to the Conservation Authority? So we are currently updating all of our signage, which is that little bit of a delay in services. And so we'll have that updated, as our previous signs also had that. Previously, we had gone through Canada Helps, so you could donate that way, but this way it's embedded right into the program. So a streamlined way to accept donations.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other questions? Shout them out if I'm not seeing your hand. I'm not seeing any. Okay, thank you. So that brings us to the voting part. And so it is moved by Councillor Shirley Boxham and seconded by Councillor Gary Harvey that the Board of Directors receive staff report number 140522 BOD regarding change in service providers for conservation area remote parking payment program. And that's a yes from Mayor Allen and a yes from Member Mercer on screen, and a yes from Member Watson, and a yes from Mayor Pinto, and from Member Magdalo and Member Boxham. I feel like that's on screen. We've already got it.
And through the chair, that motion is carried.
Super, thank you so much. Which brings us to item number 12.2.2, which is staff report number 15-05-22 BOD from Doug Hebner, Chief Administrative Officer, and I'll pass it over to you, CAO Hebner. This is regarding phase 2 of the transition plan.
Yes, we've discussed this and we've reviewed these points when they were first put out and they were on the government's website to review. I just wanted to share this with the board so that this has been ascended and it's now law in Ontario. So we're working towards this. This is all going to be part of that transition plan that will come to fruition in January 1st, 2024. This particular legislation directly affects the budget and apportionment section, the policy for the minister to set up class programs for regulations, information requirements for the regulations to increase transparencies for our website. So it's a lot of the housekeeping that we've been working on. Our governance page, if you go to our website, we have all of these requirements are being posted on our website. They're readily available to the public and to members for review. The transition plans will have been submitted. They've actually all been reviewed. All 36 have been reviewed by the NVCP. I recall at our last meeting, we set out a invitation for all members to attend and listen to what NVCP has to say here. We were presented with some information from them reviewing how they felt conservation authorities responded to the needs of the transition plan. They received 100% transition plans. No one was delinquent on time. So that's really encouraging, I think. It shows that we're looking to be willing partners with our municipal partners and the government. As far as updates on the transition plan piece, the CEOs that I've spoken to are still digesting the information that we've sent. Those that have spoken to us and asked for information, we've responded with it to them. We've only had one physically contact us and ask us for answers to specific questions, which we did respond to, and that was Springwater. It's interesting, You know, we go to these tree plants and we rub shoulders with people. I had a great opportunity at the Wasaga Beach tree plant to have a great conversation with CEO George Van Vancouver. He shared with me that he envisions the transition plan will be involving his planning team and our planning team, broadly based on the planning advisory MOUs that we have. So we currently have 13 out of 18 members, partners are participating in these planning and regulation MOUs. We will be doing an amendment to our transition plan. When we did our first one, we didn't identify that we're already in 13 MOUs with participating municipalities. So we'll be updating that, and we'll be sort of meeting, we will be meeting the mandate of the law, stating when we started into this MOU, how long it lasts, has it been extended, what's the process for extension. So it sort of sets up the streamlining of how MOUs will work. At the meeting, we received some additional clarification on the Class 1, Class 2, Class 3 funding pieces. Since this last meeting that we had, they've also talked a little bit about fee structure, and that you see through the staff report that Director Hibbard brought forward today, going with Watson to look at our fees and structure and data will place us in a really good position. Watson currently has worked with all 18 municipal partners in business relations with them. They've also worked with over a half a dozen of the CAs in developing this information. So we see it as a really good opportunity to have a really full and fulsome sharing of our information with our municipal partners as we move forward. There really isn't anything additional to report on the transition piece, because I really think that the current municipal situation with an election moving forward, a lot of the CAOs and senior staff have realized that this is all going to have to be passed by a future council, and there's just a little hesitancy to jump in and really get into the nitty-gritty on these negotiations. So we're trying to continue to get our ducks in a row and really have a good understanding of the legislation, get our numbers firmed up, and then be ready to present and interact with our partners as we go forward. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions or concerns from the board members.
Thank you. That was thorough. Any questions? Member Mercer, I see you.
I guess I'm wondering if I could ask Doug if he could just weigh in with his thoughts. If you're comfortable doing that, just is this workable? What are your thoughts?
Well, I really, okay, through the chair, if I may, to Member Mercer, I really think what we're looking at here is, I'm hoping that our municipal partners will come back and have some good questions or areas that they have concern over, and we can have a good dialogue on that. I really feel that what we've presented as a budget here is it's pretty much status quo where we have been in the past. No one's jumped out and thrown a red flag in our face and said, hey, you can't do this, or we want to change that. We haven't heard that yet. That's not to say we may not hear that in the future. I think we're going to see us develop in the process a budget. And with that budget, we'll handle the service level agreements and the MOUs clearly identified line item by line item throughout the budget through either an appendice or an addendum or in the notes lines of the budget. So council members, when you're looking at our budget, can clearly identify this is legislatively funded and it has to come from levy. That's the Class 1. Those will be clearly identified. And, you know, I love Donna's comment this morning about the color coding. That may be something you may see in our budget. Class 1 is a certain color. Class 2 is this. So it's actually readily available for people to see. Granted, the document we provided, and I've had this conversation with several CEOs, ton of information, just a tremendous amount of information to read through and look at. And it's very easy to get lost or go down a rabbit hole. So I think one of the challenges that we're going to face is, if you go back and look at the budgets that we've delivered since I've come on board, if we wanted to add a staff member at a senior level, an engineer or a planner, That's about 3% increase to our budget. So it takes our budget from a normal 3% increase, which includes the cost of living increase and a merit increase. And we got real hard pushback from talking to people about going from 3 to 7%. I think we're going to have some real challenges when we deliver budgets going forward, especially in this next fiscal year, and we look at cost of living and the cost of living increases. Reaching from 4.7 to 6.2 in the province of Ontario, and we normally are delivering like a 1.8% cost of living. So that's not really doing anything to the services we provide. That's just a treading water conversation. So I'm anticipating some really hearty dialogue. The conversations I've had with CAOs have been really forthright, and I'm quite happy with that. I think we have basically pretty good relationships with the staff members that we work with. And I'm looking forward, and I know our senior staff's looking forward to those future conversations. So, Margaret, I hope that answers your questions a bit for you.
I just wanted to know if you thought it was doable, and I think you've answered that. But of course, there will be challenges, and thank you for expressing that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from members of the board on this? Seeing none, hearing none, I will ask you to go to your onboard page. And the motion is moved by Councillor Matrosofts and seconded by Councillor Mantelo that staff report number 15-05-22 BOD from Doug Hevner, Chief Administrative Officer, regarding an update of phase 2 changes to the CAA for information purposes. And I'm looking for the votes. I see a yes from Mayor Allen and a yes from Member Mercer. And I also see yeses from Member Pinto and Watson and Mantelo. So
Through the chair, that motion is carried.
Thank you so much, which brings us now to item number 12.2.5, which is staff report number 18-05-22 BOD from Ryan Post, Manager of Watershed Science, and Dave Featherstone, Senior Ecologist. And I think this has been pulled by Member Allen. And so do we want to get the senior ecologist and the manager of watershed sciences to speak to it first, or will we just entertain the questions that have been brought forward? And I see you, Member Jeb. What should are Ryan and there's Ryan and Dave, I imagine, is here somewhere as well. Would you like to speak to this report first, Senior Ecologist Featherstone? Oh no, sorry, Manager Post.
Great, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Yeah, I can provide a brief overview of the staff report, and then both Dave and I will be extremely happy to take questions. Dave doesn't have a camera, so he's on audio, but here I am. So thank you very much once again for this opportunity. And I also just want to give a big shout out to Dave for the great work he's also done in developing the staff report. So the objective of this staff report is to provide an overview of the recently completed NVCA Natural Heritage Program strategy, which complements the presentation that both Dave and I did back at the February Board of Directors meeting, which provided the overview of the program. So initially started back in 2003, this program focuses on several core components, looking at municipally driven natural heritage system developments, wetland mapping, data management associated with that, monitoring, and also communications with the development and delivery of the watershed health checks. Back in 2019, the NVCA, from that corporate governance perspective, passed or approved the integrated watershed management plan, and then following that, we have the business plan and the strat plan that were also recently approved, and then we also have the current legislative framework with Bill 108. Provides that opportunity to look at the historical work that's being done through the program and seeing if there's an opportunity to see where we want to drive this program moving forward for the next, let's say, 5 years or so. So when we look at the overall core components of this program moving forward, it includes the development of the natural heritage systems at a watershed level, ongoing wetland mapping and evaluation, working with different teams within the NVCA, including the lands, doing that conservation lands inventory, ongoing monitoring work, and program communications. So those are the core areas, building on the integrated watershed management needs of the various programs within the NVCA, and also building on the strengths that have been identified in the ongoing delivery of the program, but also recognizing the current natural heritage and planning approaches moving forward. So using that as that nice inflection point moving forward. So in terms of short-term goals in the immediate, let's say that 2 to 3 year window, it consists of finishing our land use layer that will drive the development of a watershed natural heritage system. This corresponds to Objective 5, Target 2 in the business plan. So we have those linkages in there. Doing field work on prioritized wetland evaluation. Once again, Objective 5, Target 1 in the business plan. Look at data visualization. We collect a whole bunch of data within the watershed science program, not just with natural heritage, but with other components in there. Is there an opportunity to communicate that to the public? And this is represented in Objective 10, Target 3 within the business plan. And then also, is there an opportunity to do, we call it business development? Is there an opportunity to look for, additional special benefiting projects within the program that can generate revenue to support the program, to generate revenue for the program moving forward? So those are those short-term goals. And then from that financial implications, or that Bill 108 implications, Doug just mentioned about, the categories 1, 2, and 3 resulting from Ontario Regulations, 686-21. When we look at the Natural Heritage Program, we have a combination of both Category 1 and also Category 3. Category 1, let's say wetland regulation mapping. Category 3, where those MOUs are required moving in the future, can consist of those natural heritage system development. But those Category 3 programs, to me, are essential in supporting the Category 1 programs, natural heritage system, for that planning component. So you have that synergies or the integrations between those Category 3s and Category 1 program. So you look at this purpose of the staff report once again. It's to showcase the program and the associated components for where we want to go strategically moving forward. But also, I hope, and my intent is also to build awareness with the work in advance of these MOU developments, recognizing that this program has that significant, it has a Category 3 component, but it's also funded through municipal levy. And we have the limited staff we have the limited staff involved in the program, about 0.5 FTE. So just trying to build that awareness of it moving forward and provide that direction. So when those MOUs are being developed, you can say, yes, I recognize what the Natural Heritage Program does. This is what it does, X, Y, and Z. And these are the components for it. And it's building on that, once again, on that February 2022 Board of Directors presentation. And also, I hope that going through the strategy or having the strategy outline there, it provides opportunities where this program can also work and assist with the municipalities in their natural heritage endeavors moving forward. So there's also that synergies there. So that's a very brief outline of the strategy. Dave, would you like to add anything else? Or if not, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
No, thanks, Ryan. Well done, sir. And I'm the 0.5 FTE. Yes. So yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Well, I know that Member Jeb had a question, and I see your hand, Member Mercer. Anyone else at this time who has a question regarding this? Oh, Member Allen, and anyone else? Okay, let's start with you, Member Jeb.
Thank you, Chair. This strategy, the natural heritage mapping, the county is, as you know, is doing the MCR, Simcoe County, and they have to do a natural heritage mapping. And now they have delayed it because of other problems, not to get into it. But anyways, have you worked with them? Like, it seems to me that NVCA is going to have a silo of natural heritage mapping. Simcoe County is going to have a natural heritage mapping, and they may not combine. And now you have property owners and farmers that are going to have to follow this mapping, that mapping. I think it should be all one together. and be working with the county. And I know the Simcoe County Federation of Ag has got concerns because there's going to be rules at different levels. So have you worked with the county on this mapping?
Yeah, through the chair, Councillor Jebb, yeah, we're definitely involved in both the Dufferin County and Simcoe County MCRs and providing input into natural heritage system work. And we're definitely looking at this as a watershed level product that's going to include both those counties, our little nub up in Caledon and also our portion of Grey County as well. So we're looking at providing a consistent approach on a watershed basis that will also hopefully tie in well with other conservation authority efforts in those areas contiguous. And definitely as part of updating the land use layer, we're going to be looking at our water course layer, and I'm doing that almost as we speak. And definitely we're going to make that layer as accurate as possible. Again, respecting some of the features on agricultural lands.
Does that assist, Member Jebb?
I may have another question, so I'll let Mayor Allen.
Excellent. Actually, Member Mercer is next. Oh, let's just get Director Hibberd to weigh in on the question that Member Jebb had as well regarding consultation with the county.
Sure. We have been, the consultation has been layered. At the beginning, it was request for information. What information did we have? We shared that. They provided the draft natural heritage system that the county is working on. We were able to comment on that. The intent, I think, and Dave can certainly speak more to it, is to complement and influence when counties and municipalities are preparing natural heritage systems. And so the idea is to provide best science information on a watershed approach and how can that fit into that, and not necessarily have, in a sense, dueling natural heritage systems. That's not the intent. And that's what you find with other conservation authorities who've already gone down this road, whether TRCA, like Simcoe, Credit Valley. You find that information influences regional and municipal processes. So that's the intent from our standpoint.
Thank you. Member Mercer.
Thank you. So I know that Councillor Jebb had talked about duplication. I actually think this is a really excellent and detailed document, but I want to address what I see as a gap. And certainly in our township, the gap is the wetland evaluations. And I'm wondering if CILTIP, the Conservation Land Tax Incentive Program, still exists. And I know a lot of municipalities don't like it because it means that people get a tax exemption. But it does give value to our wetlands, which is really important when we have threats of quarries and that kind of thing. And I wonder, and I think I mentioned this early on in our council term, about fee-for-service that NVCA could provide to residents, because I know you do this for trees and for some other conservation programs around wetland evaluations. Which, if there is a list of people who conduct these wetland evaluations, but could the NVCA not offer that as a fee for service? They can be very lengthy, but I do feel that wetlands are something that we need to do a little bit more to protect. So that is my question. I also, sorry, and I don't mean to embarrass anybody, but on page 2 of the cover memo with this, there's something missing, some wording, and I'm having a problem understanding something that was said there. So I don't know which question somebody could answer first.
Well, let's begin with the CILTIP question. I'm not sure who would like to take that. Would that be you, Director Hibberd? Excellent.
I will give it a shot. And thank you through the chair. Excellent question, and it's a fine line because we're set up as, in terms of the advisory agency, the municipalities. We are a review agency when it comes to permitting. So not necessarily set up as a consulting service in that sort of sense. What we have been trying to look at and consider is, can we look at and evaluate some of these wetlands that perhaps need some attention, that perhaps the ministry doesn't have the resources or time to do it, or relying on maybe us to do it, which is different than working for an applicant. That's sort of more of a natural heritage system approach. And I know Dave is looking at that in various parts of the watershed. So that may be one of the answers. And I definitely know in Dufferin County and Melanchthon, there are some wetlands that really need to have some look at that and find out, are they provincially significant? What is the evaluation? And so it's something we'd have to look at and then say, how do we resource that? And then how do we finance that? Those would be the key things. In terms of the question in the report, I'll leave that to Dave and Ryan.
Did you guys have a typo?
Well, no, something's missing at page 2, the second paragraph. It just says, in addition, the program historically something, and continues to map. There's a word or something missing out of there. And I
think I'm assuming it would be historically as done.
Ah, there you go. So yes, a little typo there. A couple of words missing. Okay. Any, Member Allen. Oh, sorry, does that suffice, Member Mercer?
It does, but, and again, when I first got onto council, I realized that there had been no wetland evaluations in Melanchthon, and it made me very curious as to why. So I would like to continue to see this as being an area of focus. Thank you.
Member Allen.
Thank you, Chair Watson. Chair McLeod, I'm sorry. The reason I asked to have this pulled was it was a very fulsome report, a lot of detail. I just wanted to put it in context with what had been happening at county, further to what Member Jebb had said. On May 20, bit of preamble here, extraction from a report at county, just for information. On May 24th, there was a county meeting report regarding the MCR update in future public meetings. There had been a special meeting of county council to deal with the MCR ongoing issues and matters on April the 12th of this year. And further meetings have been ongoing with municipalities discussing the growth management information. The county reports that the next formal step in the engagement consultation process is a scheduling of a legislated public open house and statutory public meeting. And these will focus on the draft official plan amendment for the first phase of the growth management component of the MCR. Additional public open houses and statutory public meetings for other components of the MCR will occur in connection with subsequent phases of the MCR work in 2023. The first meeting is June 21st of this year. It's a statutory public open house for the growth management and provincial natural heritage system official plan amendments. And on June 28th, there's a statutory public meeting for the growth management and provincial natural heritage system official plan amendments. While it was anticipated that the refined natural heritage system mapping would be brought forward for further input through the legislated public open house and statutory public meeting process in June of this year, it has become apparent that the additional analysis and coordination with other mapping exercises, such as the provincial agricultural system, would be beneficial to undertake prior to recommending implementation of the provincial natural heritage system mapping. On this basis, further refinement work will occur over the next several months, and county planning staff will report back to county council in the fall of this year regarding work and anticipated timing for a future public open house and statutory public meeting on this matter. It's important to note that the statutory public open house and public meeting remain part of the consultation process for future consideration of the growth management OPA, but that no decisions will be made at the time of these meetings. A future meeting of county council will be necessary following the June statutory public open house and public meeting of council to consider whether to adopt a finalized proposed OPA relating to growth management. So I read that, I take this extraction just for context of this situation. And I think while it's informative, this report, that we should be, as a board and the next board after the election, should be working in conjunction and not making any further decisions with respect to the NVCA involvement with this until we ensure we're in sync with the county MCA process. So, Madam Chair, I propose an amendment to the motion to add to it. We're receiving it is the recommendation that the amendment addition is that further decisions with respect to this be deferred until progress occurs with respect to the June 2022 County Simcoe public meetings and further progress is made on the MCR process into 2023. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm just getting that written down on the process. I wonder if we can have perhaps Director Hibbard or Manager Post speak to that, because I think that while we are parallel to the county, they are not. The CAA Act is sort of supersedes, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I'd like to have that explanation for the board before we vote on this, because I feel as though they're linked, but they're not. I don't think we have to. What's the word I'm looking for? Bend the knee to the county, or do we? I don't know. Director Hibbard.
I think they're two separate processes, and I do agree with Mayor Allen that they need to be connected. But what the county's going through is legislative requirements that the province has put down. You need to do an MCR, you need to do a natural heritage mapping, you need to do agricultural mapping. They all influence their official plan and municipality's official plan. Our process, while it could influence that or provide new information, it's not necessarily under the same legislation. It may influence our regulations in terms of wetlands, where those wetlands are and how do they fit into a larger system. But the context and the influence it has over the planning process are a little bit different. And whereas the counties is much more needing to be done because of provincial policy. The other component of what we're looking at is, while Simcoe County certainly makes up a good portion of our watershed, it doesn't make up all of our watershed. So I think it's important to sort of look at a watershed approach in terms of this science. So while I agree with Mayor Allen, we need to coordinate, and we will, and we have, and we'll continue to do that. I'm not sure one has to be held at abeyance while the other one's going on.
Thank you. Any other CAO Hebner?
Yes, through the chair, if I may. It's interesting to point out, I don't know if all members are aware of this, but the natural heritage mapping that the county did present was an opportunity to really align positive steps in linkages of the natural heritage areas. So they actually, they reduced natural heritage areas by about 4,000 kilometers, yet they increased natural heritage areas by about 4,000 kilometers, almost a net balance of the two. But it was things that made sense. Like you have a rectangular field and there's a small little corner that's in a natural heritage area that they looked and said, well, does that natural heritage area continue outside that field? Could we make that field rectangular and use that entire field for agriculture or development purposes and not impede on the wetland area? And does that wetland area extend into another area that maybe not developable or may not be in agriculture or maybe in a forested area? So they really tried to make those connections and as they did throughout the whole mapping. But the one thing that I think Chris also needs to mention too is that the default de facto here is the province and their wetland mapping and what they identify as mapping. A county, a municipality, a conservation authority can identify things, but our additions would all have to be identified and approved and accepted by the province of Ontario as well. Is that not true, Chris?
In part, yes, Chair. The overall system would not need to be approved by the province, but if we need to be consistent, say with our regulation mapping, which may feed out of some of this information in terms of meeting provincial standards.
I was just about to ask you, Mayor Allen, if you had further comments.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not saying further discussion can't happen. I'm just saying as an organization through the board that further decisions with respect to policy basically wait until these meetings happen, until further information can come forward from the deferral that is happening with respect to the heritage and agricultural mapping by the county. I appreciate there's more than one county involved, but the bulk of what's happening is relating to Simcoe County. I would suggest it's not restricting anything. It's just making sure that decisions aren't being made with respect to this prematurely. So I'd be looking for a seconder to the amendment,
yes,
please.
Just about to ask for that. Do you have a seconder? I'm looking. Mayor Pinto is the seconder on the amendment. Discussion on the amendment. Member Mercer, I saw your hand up.
The point I was going to make is that when we talk provincially, you know, we're looking at the potential of another highway that is supposed to be quite destructive to the environment. How receptive are they going to be to recognizing distinct environmental heritage features? That's my point, and it's a political point, but it is something to be aware of. Thank you for letting me state.
Thank you. And I think that Member Watson had, I didn't see you. I'm sorry, George. You had your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I would also, I think you have a seconder on the motion, but I would certainly support Mayor Allen and Councillor Jebb's comments about this. The province's mantra right now is cut red tape, stop duplication of services. And when I read the analysis on this report, natural heritage is comprised of geological features and landforms and their associated terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems which sustain plants, fish, and wildlife. This is inclusive of habitat features and functions such as forest, streams, wetlands, regenerating fields, and the linkages that connect these features. I see, you know, the discourse that's going on out there. What do you call a piece of land that doesn't have hills and dales, ups and downs, trees on it? It's called a farmer's field, and it's getting that way. And I'm seeing by this analysis more layering of services, more, you know, just more red tape involved with it. And I think we need to be coordinating with the county. You know, again, I stress what the province is looking for. They're looking for more homes to be built in that. Two examples in Wasaga Beach of properties that developers are working on. Their yield on acreage is coming out to about 20-25% of available acreages on properties. And this is all due to, you know, just directions in this regard. And it's, I'm not sure if it's going to work, and I don't know if it's going to be approved by the province, quite frankly, if we keep layering things. Thank you.
Member Jebb.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Mayor Allen that we're just wanting to defer it because no doubt the county is using scientific information too, and to work with the NVCA would be beneficial to both parties to make sure we have the best heritage mapping done for both. And I know with the agricultural mapping, the farmers are getting a little bit nervous that with all these different layers of mapping, they won't be able to dig a post hole for a fence. So that's what their concern is. And I feel if we wait and we're not saying to just to wait until we get everything in place. So the information and the public meetings over.
Okay, any other questions or comments from members of the board? Member Kane.
Thank you. Through Madam Chair, listening to all the points, I'm not one to kick things down the road, but I do see a lot of problems here with going forward today. So I would support the amendment, the request for deferral. There's a lot of moving pieces here. There's a lot of things occurring right now in the province. To Margaret's comment, we're in the middle of a provincial election. So I would rather be more careful and see exactly how things are going to roll out. Every tier of government affects each other. So I would be inclined to support this amendment today, just to be on the cautious and careful side. I think it would be a respectful thing to do for our producers as well.
Okay, thank you. And so do I see anyone else? I'm having trouble with my computer right now, so I'm just looking to see if I can get some assistance. Is there anyone else who has comments on this amendment?
Through the chair, the I see is Councillor Mercer.
Thank you. Councillor
I just
Mercer.
want to know, so the amendment is just to defer? Could we have clarification on?
Right.
Through the chair, I have the amendment from Mayor Allen here. I can read it out so that everybody's clear on it. So it's still the original part of the resolution that says that you're receiving the staff report, and further that decisions with respect to this be deferred until progress occurs with respect to the June 2022 County Simcoe public meetings, and further progress is made on the MCR process into 2023.
And so right now what we're voting on is just this amended motion. And if it passes, then that becomes the motion regarding this staff report. And if it fails, then we go back to the original, just receive it for information. Is that I believe that's how that's going to work. And I see you, Member Kane.
Cheryl, would you mind giving the date again? I thought you said June 23rd, and I have in my notes that Mayor Allen mentioned June 21st, 28th, and the 28th were public meetings.
Yeah, the amendment says June 2022. So it encompasses all of those meetings, I believe.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the county is going to be making more progress on its MCR process into 2023. And so, Member Jeb.
I have a question just on the voting. So are we voting on so we're just voting by hand on the amendment?
The amendment actually is contained in On Board now because Director Flanagan is very fast with her typing. And so if you Director Flanagan?
Sure. Yeah, it's on there, but it's not working. So I actually need everybody to vote on screen. So I apologize to those of you who are not video, but we'll need you to turn on your video for the vote.
Okay, so do you want to do it like a voice call, Director Flanagan? Does that make it easier for you? Or we'll just put up our hands or our yeses and nos?
So through the chair, I can actually see everybody on my screen.
Okay. So great.
You can just call the vote and I'll be able to count all of the yeses and nos.
Okay, great. And so with that, I will call the vote on the amended motion.
Sorry, it's tighter than I thought it would be, so just give me a second. And Tom Patterson and Andrea, I'm sorry, I didn't register your votes.
It's still.
It's little.
Thanks, Andrea. And Tom? No? Okay, thank you. And through the chair, that motion was defeated.
Okay, thank you so much. And so then what
Excuse
we
me.
will do. Oh,
Madam
yes.
Chair, could we have the numbers, please?
Absolutely. It was 8-6.
So Director Flanagan, do you need to rechange that, or do we want to vote on the unamended motion again with the by visual?
So you should be able to go into onboard now and be able to vote on the original one. You may just have to refresh the page.
Okay. Yeah, because mine is, the one that I'm seeing is now.
Can I ask how to refresh the page?
You should be able to see a little circle with an arrow. If you can't, that's fine. If you just put up your hands, I'll be able to.
Yeah, mine is still with the amended motion. So let's just call the vote on screen then perhaps and see what we can see.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the exact same, just reversed. So that motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. Excellent discussion.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes, Member King.
Madam Chair, if the numbers were exactly the same, and please, Councillor Harvey, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought he voted in favor of the amendment and in favor of this. So how could the numbers be reversed?
Can you speak to that, Director Flanagan?
Maybe I miscounted. Let's try this again. What was can I get you to put up your votes again for the original one, not the amended? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. It's different this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 5. So I must have miscounted. My apologies.
Thank you. Okay, so that so we are receiving that report for information. Thank you. That was long. And so that brings us to the to item number 13 in our agenda, which is other business. Is there other business? And please shout out if you have any, because again, I'm having trouble seeing everyone on the screen. I see none. Okay. And that brings us to item number 14, which is our,
Member Watson has requested to.
Sorry, thank you. Member Watson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank the NVCA. We had our council meeting yesterday, and I was able to talk about 3 environmental projects in the municipality, and 2 in particular with the NVCA, where we staff met with students from St. Noel Catholic Elementary School, where we did a planting behind the school on the Carly Patterson Trail and along Trillium Creek. NVCA staff was there to, I believe it was Sarah Campbell was there talking to the kids, educating them about trees and the planting of it. And then subsequent to that, we, I think Doug Hevener mentioned, Chair Hevener mentioned about talking with our CAO at the tree planting across from the sports park, where we did about 600 trees in there. We had a great turnout of NVCA, Town of Wasaga Beach, Ontario Parks. Random residents came out to plant this. It was a great day. The weather was good. We all worked hard. So I just thank the NVCA and their staff for going on these projects. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business? I see. Oh, CIO Hefner.
Yes, through the chair, if I may. I can't recall. I think I forwarded this information to all board members, but I just want to cover all bases here. Conservation Ontario's CEO, Kim Gavin, is retiring. She's leaving her position on June 30th. And she's been active in conservation here in the province of Ontario for the last 33 years. So there'll be a change in leadership there in the future. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
Thank you very much. And Vice Chair Little and I will be attending the next meeting. I believe that is in July of Conservation Ontario. Or is it in September? April, September, somewhere in there. Thank you. And so I will look to Member Jeb for her usual duties. It is 10:30 a.m. and I believe that we are looking for a motion to adjourn. So that is moved by Councillor Jeb.
I already voted.
And seconded by Councillor Watson that this meeting adjourn at 10:30 a.m. to meet again on June 24th, 2022, or at the call of the chair, which I can't see happening. So all of those in favor, please vote.
And through the chair, you didn't even have to finish speaking. And
thank you so much for your kind attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, yeah, there you go.